Between Built is about that charged space of the between jobs, industries, work, family, belief systems, and seasons in life. Today, we're diving into what happens between fintech builds, when it becomes an idea lab, how to spot opportunities, test them, decide which ones are worth betting on. Our guest today knows this space really well. He's been a founder, builder, and he's navigated the corporate side of fintech too. Pete Glyman spent time experimenting and pressure testing different concepts before landing on his next build. Thanks for coming.
Hey there. Good to
in
see
the
you, Tiffany.
studio and live.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So Pete and I, which we'll probably get to, like we go way back.
Way back.
We're in the way back.
Yep.
But you've been busy, my friend.
I have.
You've been building some things.
Yeah.
And so
little pause, little building,
a little building,
both, yeah.
a little pause.
Back at it now.
A building again.
Yeah.
I love it. So we're gonna kind of talk to the audience a little bit about that. So
Awesome.
Let's start with Geezeo, because
All right.
that's where you started.
Yep.
And then we kind of met, and then we'll talk about Jack Henry and all that.
Sure.
But tell me about Geezeo.
Yeah. So Geezeo was my first, I'd say, real startup, raise money and go out there and, take all the risks and chances. Started back in 2007 with my co-founder, Sean Ward. And we both worked together at our previous company. And a few of us, it was actually like few people, we all kind of thought, we knew we wanted to do something new. So we got to the point where we were meeting like every Wednesday in Boston in the Elephant Castle. It had a little downstairs room, and we'd get together, once a week, and we'd whiteboard ideas. So this was like, we know we want to do something, but we have no idea what. We were all in financial services. We were on the investment side of the world at the time. Eventually, a few different ideas. What stuck was, helping people manage their finances. And as we started to build the product, we realized it started to look, more and more like Quicken or Microsoft Money at the time, which, back in 2007, it was kind of on the heels of people were still installing and uninstalling software, depending on whether or not it was working out for them. So it was Web 2.0. Development was fast and furious. It was an exciting time in the Boston fintech scene. There's some great memories of those early days. And so we started off building a direct-to-consumer product. And we had some success there, but where we really, grew the business was we transitioned to B2B and started working with banks and credit unions and started partnering with folks like Jack Henry and the other core providers and digital banking providers, and had a lot of success. I joke it was like a 12-year overnight success. There were a lot of twists and turns along the way.
Right.
Lots of stories to tell or not. But we got there. And
right.
So it was a really exciting process. It was a lot of work. It was a grind at times, but a lot of satisfaction in doing what we did and what we were able to achieve. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So you were, I think at the time, if I remember correctly, when we acquired you at Jack Henry, you had probably like 500 financial institutions.
About 700.
700. Okay.
700 banks and credit unions on our platform and about 10 million users. Most of that through channel partnerships, through relationships, but we had probably about 20% of our business through direct relationships as well. Yeah.
So you were acquired like overnight.
Yeah, overnight.
And then you woke up the next day and you were an employee of Jack Henry, a large publicly traded processor and part of the very acquisitive company that it was.
For sure.
What was that like, right? You went from startup fintech to like
I had to get used to Microsoft
corporate
products. So that was new.
Gosh.
That was new for me. It was actually great. We worked really hard for 12 years to build the company to where we were at, and we were ready. We were ready to to sell the company. We actually ran a process, which ultimately was very successful. But we were ready for the next chapter. So So it was fun. It was fun to transition into the organization. We had a long-standing partnership with Jack Henry, so knew a lot of the people. That certainly made it easier. We knew there was a cultural fit there, and you definitely you take a step back, and the pace is a little bit different. But it was great to be able to take what I had learned. Being a third-party integrator, a vendor to Jack Henry, a partner, and start apply some of that to being on the other side of it. So kind of latched on some things that I thought I might be able to move the needle on, and the executive team was always super supportive and letting me chase some of those things and see if there were ways that it could be beneficial to the company. So it was actually a really good fit. A lot of people tease me that I'm 6 years into my 2-year commitment. But life happens, and it was the perfect place for me at the right time, and I learned a lot.
Well, as I recall, like your wife had a baby during that season. Like, it was personally, like, it was good, right?
2019, sold the company, got married, blended the families, bought a new house, then like a year later had the baby. So it was, so a lot of life events in a short amount of time. And she was doing some exciting things with her career as well.
Right.
So it was a nice partnership.
A good like breath.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you got the itch. Or had it? What was that like? Because you'd been when I left Jack Henry, you were probably there for 4 out of your 5 years, and now you've exited that company. But like, why'd you decide to build again? Because you'd already done it once, and did you think you had another one in you, or like what was that dialogue?
Yeah, I knew I always had another one in me. And it had to be kind of right time, right product, right vision. Some of the things that I did to help feed the fire a little bit in the interim was I did some investing in some other startups, served as advisor to a few different startups, and that was a great way to stay close to it. Even working with fintechs in my role at Jack Henry, I got to work with a lot of startups and help them navigate the waters of, big company and moving into an industry that we had some success. But I think also in working with a lot of startups, that kept the itch alive, right? Because I'd watch them and I'm like,
this is fun. I remember this.
I should be doing this, right?
Okay.
So I did different things to, kind of keep my interest in space. But I'm also like, big time student of fintech. And so I just, I'm always in it, always following it, always looking at the latest of what's going on. And eventually, the right thing, came to light, and once it happened, it was there's no going back. Like as soon as that switch goes off, it's like that's it.
So what was that kind of like? I'm gonna build, but I don't know what. Like, what was that discovery path like? Like we always talk about, okay, I got the idea, but like, what was like the pre-idea? Like, did you have any false starts or like idea labs, or like what was that like? What did you come up with that like worked or didn't work, or you didn't move forward with, or you did?
Yeah. So I mean, once I realized, so I've been, one of the things I've done in my role at Jack Henry was leading our crypto and digital asset strategy, which over the years has been a lot of starts and stops if you follow the news. But it's always been like, how does that apply to traditional financial services? And so I've had a personal interest in crypto. I do a lot on the side in my own personal time. And then to be able to apply that to work has been a lot of fun. And, I've been able to meet a lot of really interesting people in the space, and in part because of my role, right? So I kind of thought that there was something in that vein, but it hadn't really been apparent until the latest kind of tailwinds around stablecoins.
Okay.
And one thing that I've always zeroed in on as it relates to crypto was stablecoins, and in particular the relationship to payments. I've gotten to better understand payments infrastructure, how it works, some of the challenges associated with it, and I saw a lot of use cases. And TradFi historically, traditional finance has pushed back against it due to its risks and concerns around it. But with, regulatory clarity like the Genius Act, which I don't think we'd be doing any of this right now if it wasn't for that. And, other support, both, from a regulatory perspective and industry adoption. To me, it was just like, the wave is happening right now. Right. And this is like a revolutionary change in our financial tech stack, as an industry, and I want to be part of it. So So once I zeroed on that and I latched on to solving a problem, I knew that there was something I could go build.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah. Was
there anything before that you want to share with us that you ventured in?
Sure. I one of the other side projects. So I've been in software my whole life.
Yeah.
And, software is kind of nascent, like you don't touch it and feel it, and, it can definitely make people's lives better. But I always wanted to create a physical product, like something that you could touch and feel. I always thought that'd be really interesting. So, Ruth Ann and I, my wife, we were on our boat, a few years back, and she brought some of these lights on the boat that were like created this cool candlelight effect. They're LED, but they're glass, and they weren't conducive to a boat, but they created a really cool vibe.
Yeah.
And so, we were hanging out one night and we're like, I wonder if anybody makes a better version of this that would be like, safe for a boat, more durable, So we spent the night like looking, after a bottle of champagne, we suddenly like,
best
hey,
ideas happen.
Yeah, best idea, right? Well, we could build this, there's nothing out there like that. And so the next morning is like, that was a pretty good idea. Yeah, I think so too. And so there were a lot of these like little nuanced alignments, with it. I called up my brother-in-law, who is an engineer, and I'm like, hey, I got this idea, for an LED light for boaters. And I said, do you think, your buddy who I knew was another engineer might be able to help us with these? Pete, not only he's an engineer, he's an LED engineer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story longer, we started working on a light, building a light, 3D prototyping, building the software, the hardware, the LEDs, the patterns, how it all works. And so that was like a side, nights and weekends, it's, the product is called Solrica. And I kind of joke that it's Slowrica because it's just like, it's just kind of like, a forever thing.
Right.
But we built it. We built a prototype. And
that's awesome.
And I brought a little
You brought it.
Here.
That's amazing.
So it's supposed to be designed to be like really nice and
elegant.
That
is so cool. I love it.
Yeah, let's see.
There you go.
Nice bright white version.
Lighting the way.
Yeah.
I love
exactly.
it. That is so cool.
So this was fun to like,
tinker with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice soft lighting. There we go. I love it.
So that was I was able to check that box. Now I never went to market with it yet. Yeah. Maybe at some point, we'll see. But it was a lot of fun to go through that process.
Right.
And Ruth Ann, she's like, this is fun, but she goes, I know you got another fintech in you at some point. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I did fintech, and maybe it's time for something different. And she's like, you definitely have something. Yeah. So she knew.
She was right.
And once I saw
brilliant.
the thing, absolutely.
She's brilliant.
So once I latched onto a thing, it was like,
that's awesome.
No brainer. Yeah.
That's great. Was there anything that like patterns, like, okay, here's what happened at Geezeo and what I learned, and then here's just like developing a physical product and a little bit of what I like. Do you see, and now with Coinbax, like, do you see anything looking back like, oh, that's kind of my strategy. Like that's how I go about things, or that's how I build things. Anything like patterns or threads come to life?
Oh, I think I love product. So even though I'm I think one of my skills is partnerships, relationships, and sales and business development. I love product. So if I was ever an engineer or a designer and I leaned into one of those things, like I think I would enjoy a career, creating. And so I've always enjoyed that. So I think, that's rung true from whether it's Geezeo to Solrica to now what I'm doing with Coinbax is, really being, connected at the product level.
Right.
I love design. I love, simplicity and style and elegance. And I'm a stickler for fonts,
Yeah.
like it's just like every little detail, right?
Yeah.
And there's always that in my head, like what more can we do to be better? So I think I see that as a strength. So I carry that,
100%.
from one project to the next. Tons of lessons learned from doing it once as a business, a startup, to doing it again.
What are some of those?
Oh man, there's so many
What do you
things.
tell yourself every day? Like, don't do X. Like that's what
yeah.
Or the advice you give others.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think, and I don't know that these are even necessarily advice that you can give someone that if I was to give myself this advice, 15 years ago, would I have been able to even take that advice? It's fair. I probably would have raised more money early and maybe not bootstrapped so hard. Okay. Would have prioritized roles and responsibilities a little bit differently. CFO earlier, right? HR earlier, like different things that help, create a foundation that allows you as a founder to step back a little bit and not have to be managing every aspect of the business. Again, I don't know if that's a luxury of being a second or third time founder, because sometimes in the first time go around you have to do all those things. Right. So, but there are other pieces of advice. Maybe it's take the advice of others, be a little more open-minded earlier, a little more humble. I think 32-year-old Pete didn't really need anybody's advice, right?
I think we're all a little bit like 32-year-old Pete,
but it's different now, that's for sure. I'm in the middle of a capital raise, which is an exciting part of the process. It's going a lot better than it did the first time around. And, I was talking to somebody the other day, I'm like, I said, fundraising isn't that difficult. If you've already tried to raise money for your first startup, eventually get there and sell it.
Okay.
If you do all that, then actually raising capital is not so hard.
Why? Why you think well, just because like in your brain, you're like, I've done this before.
Once you have a win, I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. Yeah. And it brings confidence to people that are going to invest in you. If they've seen you build a company, and very small percentage of businesses end up successful in any capacity. It's a neat chapter in my life, and super excited.
Tell us a little bit about Coinbax. So you left Jack Henry, you're like, okay, now I'm going to build this company. It's in the stablecoin space. So for people not familiar with stablecoins or what Coinbax does, like give us the
think of stablecoins as digital money. It's worth a dollar if it's US based, a fiat based, and it's pegged to the US dollar. So so you don't invest in stable coins. It's just it's another think of it as another type of dollar.
Another tool.
And there's a number of use cases for stable coins. But one of the areas that I zeroed in is specifically related to payments. And our existing payment infrastructure, there's lots of room for improvement. I mean, much of it was designed, years and years ago. So, things like, you can't necessarily send money, by wire over the weekend. If you're trying to send money internationally, it can get very expensive and slow. So we focused on helping to support that infrastructure where stablecoins ultimately become a more efficient 24/7 rail for payments. But one of the challenges with them is it's kind of also their superpower is instant settlement. And so if you send somebody money and you hit send, it's gone. Like there's no way to get it back.
Right.
So that's also in the traditional financial services world, I would call that a risk,
right?
Where you're unable to reverse a transaction or dispute a transaction. If something goes wrong, how do you take care of the settlement of it? So Coinbax focuses on the programmability of the payment, that uses what's called smart contracts on the blockchain to provide more trust to the transaction. So protects the sender, the recipient. We can do some really neat things like handle disputes and reversals of transactions and more like an e-commerce model, but more on the institutional B2B side, trade finance, escrow contracts that will intelligently release funds based on things being satisfied. So you're sending money to a manufacturer who shipped you parts for your equipment. You can use a smart contract to settle the funds upon receipt and satisfaction of those products or services. So there's some really neat use cases, and we're just starting to really explore some of the different go-to-market opportunities in the institutional side. And so it's a lot of fun. I mean, I really believe that blockchain, stablecoins, even AI with agents and LLM, like this technology is going to be foundational to the financial services stack. And I believe companies like Coinbax will be foundational to that, over the next 5 to 10 years. Like we're going to see a major shift in how all financial services operates and the rails that they operate on.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's exciting.
I love it. It's exciting to think ahead, but probably a little nerve wracking. Like how's it gonna work? How are you feeling about it? Like you've done it before. Yeah. You're just stoked every day. You just love it every day.
100% all in. I know we're going to have great success. There's no plan B. We just, heads down and we're going to make it happen. So, which has always been kind of my mantra. It's like, if you're going out to do something, do it.
Go big.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. What advice or encouragement do you have for others? Like who are in between builds, like in between pivots, like pivoting career or moving on to the next thing or building the next thing, but it's not done yet. Like, what would you shout out to them?
Yeah, I think, I mean, everybody's their own person in their own way, I guess. I mean, for me, it was being patient and finding the right thing and wait, and knowing that it would present itself to me when the time is right. But I'm sure there's other people that are more antsy and like, I got to go do something. And that's probably okay too. Yeah. Have some starts and stops, put something out there and try it. But I think if you can wait and you can be patient and, look for that right thing, that's okay too.
I love that. Yeah. You've always been very chill. Like I've known you for a long time and like just very steady, very chill. Like you're definitely like, you don't need to force it, it'll come.
It will. It's funny. In parts of me, I think I'm very type A, and then other parts,
like on your fonts. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or, if I'm running a process or, I've got a goal to get to, I can be very, very deliberate and focused on that.
Okay. So, but you got a chill side.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I
love that about you.
I'm a little older.
Older and wiser. Yeah. I like it. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm super excited.
We're done already.
I know.
I could talk to you all day.
We're going to talk about Coinbax a lot because you're kind of stuck with me.
Perfect. Well, we'll have a follow-up soon.
Advising and all of those things.
Yes. Thank you for advising.
Yes. Bringing in the
You'll be talking to me all the time.
Yeah, you're going to get tired of me, but this was good.
And, we always got the Solrica light here.
Yeah. I know you said you don't have a backup plan, but I'm super bullish on this.
Well, there's always like the Elon Musk strategy where you just have like multiple businesses
completely unrelated,
which I don't know how he has the capacity to do that, like to run multiple organizations.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.